16. Thursday, March 15th through Friday, March 16th. Money saved, $110.31. I sat in the school lunchroom with Malcolm, eating pizza. Unfortunately, school had the worst pizza in the history of pizza. It looked good, it smelled edible. I'd buy the pizza thinking, how bad could it really be? And every time it still tasted spine-chillingly lousy. It didn't taste as bad as horseradish, but it was a close runner-up. So I gnawed on the burnt rubbery crust with tire-tasting sauce and runny, nauseating cheese, telling Malcolm my problems. No one wants every street named Otto, he said. Forget the street naming part. That wasn't really the point. I tried to saw my teeth through the pizza crust. I think I might have chipped a tooth. I continued admitting my problems. It felt good to tell the truth. I can't keep track of all my appointments. The You Oughta Call Otto dog walking service is having growing pains, like the Incredible Hulk. Malcolm stared at me, confused. The Hulk is a dweeby science guy who turns into a giant monster but is still wearing the same pants. I mean, isn't your underwear riding up when you're the Hulk? I know he's practically invulnerable and all, but that's gotta hurt. I'd hate that. The Hulk doesn't get hurt when you shoot him with, like, a rocket missile, so I doubt tight underwear is going to be an issue in the pain department. But that's beside the point. You said last night everything was great, began Malcolm. That was before I spent 3 hours trying to figure out what I wrote. Is there even a Pline Avenue? I don't think so. That solves one problem, I said, relieved. You just need to be responsible, said Malcolm. There was that word again. I am, I insisted. You need to keep a schedule. Organize your finances. It's not that hard. Easy for you to say. I pushed away my pizza. I needed my magician handsaw to finish it. I can't track my appointments even if I had the rest of my natural-born life to do it. Does that mean you can track it once you're a vampire? I've been wondering the same thing. We both looked at each other for a few seconds thinking, but we didn't come up with an answer. Anyway, I said, keep track of time, and money is not easy. For you, he scoffed. You could do better? What do you think? Of course he could do better. Malcolm was practically a math genius. He won Mathlete of the Year in 5th grade. He received a trophy and everything. If you don't have mathletics in your school, you probably don't know what I'm talking about. It's sort of like a spelling bee, but for math. You stand in a line and answer math questions. Everyone in school participates. I guess the math people were jealous of the spelling bee people, so they invented mathletics. Other departments were thinking of doing the same thing. I had heard rumors that there might be a geography contest called Geographobia and a history contest called Histrolympics. The school might also begin a sports contest with running and swimming and gymnastics, but I have no idea what they would call that. So, I asked, are you going to help me keep organized? Malcolm laughed, and this was no laughing matter. I'm serious, are you? Malcolm bit into his chocolate brownie dessert. He chewed very slowly. I stared at him, waiting for an answer. He continued to chew. Hurry up and swallow already! Finally, he gulped down the food and said, Maybe. How much are you going to pay me? I'm saving for a dog, I protested. You're my best friend. You should pay me. Why would I pay you? Fine, you shouldn't. Bad idea, I admitted. But I can't pay you. I need to save every cent. You won't be making any sense unless you're organized. That made sense. But giving Malcolm part of my hard-earned income would make it that much harder to win. Take it or leave it. I'm fine either way. Malcolm bit off another piece of brownie and sat back in his chair, as if he didn't have a care in the world. Remember when I mentioned the art of negotiating? You should always act like you don't care. That gives you the upper hand. I knew Malcolm was just pretending to be uninterested to get more money, but I was too smart for him. I could play that game too. I'll leave it then, I said, shrugging. Great! Want to play soccer today? Suggested Malcolm. Wait! I said. Hold on, we're still negotiating. You said you would leave it. That was negotiating. Obviously, Malcolm wasn't a shrewd businessman as I thought he was. How much do you want? 20%. 20%? I wailed. I can't give you half of my money. It's not half. It's one fifth. 1/5. You are horrible at math, aren't you? Still, giving 1/5 of something is better than getting all of nothing. I held out my hand. It's a deal. We shook on it. But I'm in charge. This is my business. It's not you ought to call Otto and Malcolm's dog walking service. It's you ought to call Otto's dog walking service. I think you ought to call Otto the mashed potato brain bonehead. Has a nice ring to it. Meatloaf breath, snot-nosed weasel breeder, cafeteria pizza lover. Malcolm stopped and looked at my mangled, half-chewed pizza slice. Good one. I think you got me that time. After lunch, we went to social studies class. I was just getting settled in my seat when Mrs. Swift cleared her throat. Put your books away and take out your pencils, she announced, and began passing out tests. A surprise quiz, I whispered to Malcolm. Malcolm looked at me as if I was batty. No surprise. Aren't you ready for it? Almost. Now that I thought about it, I vaguely remembered something about a test today. On the Civil War, I think, maybe. Abraham Lincoln was our president back then. The North fought the South. The rest was a blur. I don't think I did very well, but I couldn't flunk, or I'd be losing this war before I saved practically anything. Just when things were looking better, too. How'd you do? Malcolm asked as we handed back our papers. Did Abraham Lincoln invent the top hat? I asked. Malcolm shook his head. So at least I got one question wrong. Malcolm came to my house after dinner. He brought an appointment book that his dad didn't need. He carefully rewrote the addresses and appointment times for every customer in it. When he couldn't read what I wrote, he found the person's phone number and called to confirm. He even changed a couple of appointments that I had accidentally double booked. The next best thing to being responsible by yourself is having someone being responsible for you. So things were going great. Lexi's snarky smiles hadn't been seen in days, and my money was ready to grow to incredible Hulk-size proportions, without the underwear issues. Nothing could go wrong now. That night, as I sat at the table waiting for Mom to bring dinner over, I could practically smell my own dog leaping beside me, begging for scraps, eager to be a part of our family. Although, actually, that odor was on my hands from walking dogs all afternoon. It was a great smell, but I washed my hands before Mom yelled at me. Otto, hang up your jacket! Mom screamed from the hallway. She can always find something to yell at me about, though. The next day, I showed up for all of my dog walking appointments on time, thanks to Malcolm's expert scheduling skills. But to be perfectly honest, dog walking was still harder than I thought it would be. None of the dogs listened to me. They would go left when I wanted to go right, or backward when I wanted to go forward, or slow when I wanted to go fast. They were walking me more than I was walking them. One dog, Milo, didn't want to move at all and refused to budge even after I begged him for 10 minutes. I carried Milo most of the way. I figured that was okay because I promised to walk dogs, but I didn't promise that the dog would be the one doing the walking. Luckily, Milo was a toy poodle. That's a small dog. You wouldn't think walking dogs would be tiring, but it is, even when you're not carrying them. My feet hurt, my legs ached, so I tried walking Grisella, the American foxhound, while I was skateboarding. Foxhounds are fast, so I thought it was a great idea, and pretty fun too. Except when she ran off the sidewalk and my skateboard skidded after her, and I wiped out, which happened every 7 seconds. Don't turn! Wipe out. Hold on! Wipe out. No, not the tree! So I gave up that idea. I told Mom she needed to buy more bandages. I also asked if she minded if I walked dogs on her treadmill. I was with Chucky the Chihuahua at the time. Yes, I mind, she insisted. But it's not like you ever use it. I use it! But she really doesn't. It might have been for the best, though. Chucky had serious bathroom issues. He must have peed every 3 minutes. It would have created a real mess on Mom's treadmill. To make things worse, he kept trying to pee on people. Maybe he thought people looked like fire hydrants. It's really awkward apologizing to a jogger for being peed on. It's even harder apologizing to one jogger while your dog is trying to pee on a different jogger at the same time. I stopped, clutching Chucky's leash tightly. A cat crossed our path. A black cat, too. Chucky immediately growled and probably wouldn't have chased it if he hadn't been going to the bathroom. They say if a black cat crosses your path, bad things will happen. I hope not. 5 years ago, I broke a mirror. I heard if you break a mirror, you get 7 years of bad luck. I still had 2 years to go. So if you added in the black cat, the odds were stacked against me. Come on, Chucky, let's jog, I shouted after he had done his business. We broke into a light trot. I wanted to get away from the cat as fast as I could. But maybe black cats were good luck, because when I arrived home, I was almost barreled over by Caitlin Singer stomping down the stairs. She was in Lexi's class and was in the school play the year before. She starred as Annie Oakley, and I'm pretty sure she was the best singer in our school. But her voice sounded gruff and angry on the staircase, not melodic like it did on stage. Thanks a lot, she howled, her face flushed red as if she had been crying. I'm sorry, stammered Lexi, hurrying down the steps after Caitlin. Lexi's face looked red too. Maybe they both had been crying. I really am. Not everyone can be as smart as you, sniped Caitlin. I'm not dumb. I didn't say you were dumb. I said your answer was dumb. It's the same thing. Not technically. You just give dumb answers sometimes, said Lexi. Caitlin bolted to the doorway. That's not what I meant. Caitlin opened the door. Are we still friends? Never, came the angry retort, followed by a door slam. I stood there, just at the edge of the stairs. What are you looking at? Lexi demanded, her red bloodshot eyes staring darts into me. It's looking like I'm getting a dog, I started to say, but I only got as far as, it's looking, and then I swallowed the rest. Lexi's face was so red her eyes were filled with tears, that I didn't think I needed to say anything to make her feel any worse than she already did. Lexi sighed, dropped her shoulders, and walked past me and up to the room without saying a word. There was nothing smug about her expression just then. I felt sorry for her, I truly did. But I shook off the feeling. You can't get soft when you're in the middle of a war. Getting soft is how you lose, and I was going to win. Our next chapter is chapter 17, Saturday, March 17th. Money saved, $148.01.